People will have like their canvases, for example. They might have a business model canvas. They might have a value prop canvas, right? Which I affectionately call like a BMC, VPC, right? And then you kind of like write down, what are your assumptions around, each of these, right? You write them on stickies, kind of like we did today, right? And then I see teams like we'll basically draw this a little better. We'll map those out, right? So we'll take all those and we'll kind of map them out. We'll end up with this little map of where things are, and then kind of refine and then design, experiments, right? And what tends to happen is, there are kind of different insights you find from doing this. You will find things that kind of like, oh, this like supports what I had. You might have some evidence that says this doesn't support what we were doing, or you might have things that come up where like this is kind of unclear, as a result. And what tends to happen is you tend to go back. It's very iterative, right? So like you mentioned, you might go back to your map and you're like, move your stickies around. You might even go back to your canvases and say, hey, this doesn't really compute. We need to pivot on our customer segment. Like the first startup I joined, we were almost bankrupt and we went from B2C to B2B. So that gives you an idea of like my life experience, like how I've lived kind of some of this. But usually what I recommend is at least going for 6 to 12 weeks on this, because I don't want you giving up too early, but I also don't want you getting too excited too early either and thinking you have a sure win. And so in your world, that time period might change. But I feel as if you run experiments every week for 6 to 12 weeks, you should have enough evidence to say, like, should I pivot this or persevere or maybe even kill what I'm working on and try to do something else? And it's surprising to me like how many businesses started off as something else before they became successful.